Today is day one of learning how to sew. If you're wondering, why is Mrs. Yockey teaching me how to sew? Obviously, no, it's not a school state standard, but it is such an important life skill. And there's a lot of adults that actually don't know how to sew. I took home ec in sixth grade, home economics. That's something, I don't know if it's still offered now, but it's something that was offered when I was in school, where half of the time you learned how to cook and half the time you learned how to sew. And I always just thought it was super cool, super fun. And I ended up taking it for a couple years, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So I'm not by any means master seamstress. A seamstress is somebody who can like sew clothes and stuff like that, but I dabble here and there. So the reason I want to teach you how to do it is because as an adult, there are so many times when I've had to sew things. Here's one example. I just was doing laundry and I noticed Savannah's jammies had a couple different holes, 3 different holes in it. So I'm not going to throw it away. That's something I can easily stitch, and it won't even take very long. I can do it while I'm watching TV. It won't though. I'm actually going to do that in another video. I'm going to show you how to sew a hole. And so I'll use that as one of my examples. My girls are in Girl Scouts, and each time they get a badge, I sew them on, because if you try to do it any other way, they end up falling off. So I had to sew that. In sixth grade, I sewed a couple stuffed animals, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So I've sewed this little teddy bear, is something that I made, this little white puppy, and this ginormous dog. It's as tall as I am. I made this. I hand sewed this. I did not use a sewing machine. This was all stitches with my fingers and a needle. So, sewing is a very important life skill. You just never know when your favorite pair of pants gets a hole in it, or your shirt had a button and it fell off and you don't want to throw it away. I'll just teach you how to sew it on. So everybody got a kit like this. I dropped it off at your house, and I'm going to show you what's in it. Please don't work ahead, because I put exactly the right materials to do what we need to do. And if you work ahead, you might not have the right materials. So you have a big wad of stuffing. That's what's actually in like these stuffed animals. This is going to be for when we make our little pillow, because we're not going to have time to make a stuffed animal, and we'd have to buy kits for that. So that's going to be for our pillow. Then you have 4 different pieces of fabric. Our witches, these are the ones we're going to use to practice different types of stitches. The Christmas pattern, I actually cut a hole in. That's the one where you're going to practice sewing a hole. And then this little Save the Earth, recycling, whatever pattern, that's the one that's going to be made into a pillow. And then you have a little sewing kit. Now, I did open all of these before I gave them to you, because I added some things to them. So you have an itty bitty teeny tiny little pair of scissors. They're so cute. Only thing is, they're not the best scissors. Mine actually just fell apart just now. That's good. Yeah, you can put it back on. But that's just because they're really cheap scissors. So if you have an actual pair of scissors, like I have really nice sewing scissors, but if you have an actual pair of scissors, they're going to work better, because we're really only going to use them to cut our thread. But you'll notice if you don't cut thread with a nice pair of scissors, that the ends of the thread is going to like split and be really hard to thread through your needle. We've got a little measuring tape, which we are probably not going to be using. There is a case that has safety pins, some pins, and buttons in it. All of the buttons in there have 4 holes. So I included in everybody's kit, all the buttons are different. It's just whatever I had. Another button that has 2 holes, and another button that has like a little thing on the back, because I'm going to show you in another video how to sew on a button. Then you've got your little circle thing that has all the needles in it. Now, I was looking at your needles and I decided, oh my gosh, I don't want you guys to use those needles. If you look at them, the holes in the needle where you have to put the thread through is so tiny. Like, I don't even know if I could get it through there. So since quarantine, and I tried to order them from the store, but they were all out. I went through my grandma's sewing kit, who's passed, and gave you guys all one of her needles. So everybody has a needle taped to the top of this that has a little bit bigger hole than the other ones. So take care of that. That's how much I care about you guys. I'm giving you my grandma's needles. Then you've got a bunch of different types of thread, little teeny tiny threads. This little purple, well, mine's purple. Mine's purple, imagine that. Whatever color your kit is, all the things are the same. But you have a little thing, it's called a thimble. This goes on a finger. I usually would wear it on a thumb, so that if you're pushing through the needle through the thread, it can poke into this and not poke into your skin and poke you. You might get poked. Sometimes, I mean, when you're using sharp things, it happens, but if you do get poked, it usually doesn't hurt. And then this thing is a needle threader. I am not going to teach you how to use this little thing, but the video right after this is a video that shows you how to use that. So if the way I'm showing you is not making sense, watch that one, and hopefully that one will. So today we're not actually going to start sewing. You have to be confident in threading your needle and knotting your needle because you're going to be doing that a lot. Each time you sew, you're going to have to rethread, re-knot, sew your piece, tie it off. All right, now a new piece, rethread, re-knot. So we're just going to work on that today. So I'm just going to grab a gray thread. It doesn't really matter what color you get. As you can see, it doesn't want to focus. Give me a second. All right, so there's a piece of thread hanging out. If you pull it, well, that side didn't come out because that's actually like underneath all the other threads. The other side has a piece that's like tucked up into the top. There we go. So find the right side and it'll just automatically start unraveling. It'll be really easy. Now, when you are putting your thread, camera doesn't want to focus today. Focus. When you're putting your thread on your needle, you don't want to make it such a big piece of thread that it'll be hard to manage because then you'll be constantly, as you sew, be going up and down to get it to be straight. You also don't want to make it so tiny that you do a couple stitches and already you're out of thread. So because we always double it over. So whatever you see here, it's going to be cut in half and that's all the longer it will be on your needle. That's not very much. So maybe I might say go from your shoulder out, straighten out. Maybe that's about as long as you might want. And then you're going to get your scissors and cut. Now today we're just practicing threading, so it doesn't really matter how long it is. But what I want to show you, let me see if I can get it to focus on this. This is the one that I just cut with my really nice scissors. Can you see how the end is really precise? And let me show you the other end that was just how it was when I got it. All right, let me see if I can show you. Touch. Do you see how the end of it is kind of like it's got several little tiny pieces of thread? That's going to be really, really hard to thread into the needle. So either I'm going to use the other side or I might want to get scissors if I do decide to use this side and cut it off. You want it to be a nice, sharp or blunt point. You don't want to have a bunch of threads sticking out. And then the other thing that I always do, because it really helps, because this thread has different fibers coming out of it, it helps the fibers all to get together if you put it in your mouth like this. And you just start licking it. It shouldn't taste bad. You shouldn't be swallowing it or getting it like in your throat or anything. It's just a quick get in it so that none of the fibers are sticking out. It's going to make it so much easier to put into the needle. All right. Now I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see me thread the needle and tie the knot. Okay. So lick your thread. And then you're going to take your thread, and I like to get it really close to the end of my fingers, and I'm going to just put it right through that little hole. All right, and then when I get to the other side, I'm going to pull it out. Now, I got it on the first try. You probably won't. We always talk about this in class. Are you perfect the first time you try to do something? No. If I try to do backflip right now, I would fall on my head. I would have to practice it a lot to get it. I've done this a lot, guys. All right, so I'm going to show you again. Now, if it got dry, I mean, you can see there's all these fuzzies coming off of this string. So I want to make sure that it is wet so that see, look at that. So that it is easy to get through. I'm going to put it in my mouth real quick. All right. And then get your fingers right towards the end so there's not a lot of extra. And then look where that hole is. Put it in through the hole. And when it's through, grab it and pull it out the other side. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we want to pull it until they are even. So I am going to pull. I'm still holding just the one thread, the one I threaded through. I'm going to keep pulling until it's about the same as the other side. There we go. See how they're about the same? So now I have two pieces of thread because I folded it over. All right. And so now they are like equal. Now I can hold them both. If they aren't perfectly lined up, that's okay. Mine are pretty close, but it doesn't have to be. If they're off a little, that's okay. So that you'll need to practice that a couple times. Once you've got the hang of that, now I'm going to show you my trick, how I learned to tie an easy knot. So it's not easy. If it's hard for you, do it a couple times, okay? So you're going to take both of these sides and you're going to put it on top of your needle. I didn't put it in anywhere. I'm just literally putting it on top of it, okay? And I'm going to take my other fingers and I'm going to pinch that and hold that side. Now, all I'm going to do is wind the thread around like 2 or 3 times. There's 1, 2, 3, okay? So I've got like 3 loops. Let me see if I can get closer and zoom in. No. My phone is letting me. Okay, so I've got those 3 loops, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch on top of those loops and then let go of the end. Grab the top part of my needle and I'm just going to pull those loops down very gently all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. Keep pulling until you get to the very end and look at that. A little knot. Ah. There are several ways that you can tie a knot. This is the easiest way I found, and I'm actually going to show you again. So let me cut my knot off. All right. So I'm going to actually start from the very beginning so you can see all of it. I'm going to put this up a little higher so that you can hopefully see everything a little better. All right, I'm going to lick the end of my string, of my thread. It's not string, thread. And I'm going to put it through that hole and then pull it until the 2 ends are close, okay? All right, and see now this time they aren't very close. They're really far apart, actually. See, that one is there. So you can either pull it and try to make it closer or just cut it off so it's a little closer, okay? Doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfect. So now I'm going to hold this side and I'm going to put it on top of my needle. If you're doing this with me, you might want to pause it in between, have somebody helping you and pausing it. And I'm going to grab that side with my other fingers that were free. Let go, the other hand. Take this thread that's towards the tip, wrap it around 1, 2, 3 times, and you can see it's wrapped around it. And now hold it where it's wrapped. Switch hands. You're going to kind of switch them back and forth. And then all you're going to do, you're going to slide that down the needle so you're not squeezing super hard. I'm barely squeezing at all. Slide down the needle and keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. And you could feel all of a sudden, I could feel the knot between my fingers. And there it is. See? So there's your knot. So that's all I want you guys to practice doing today. I want you to practice getting familiar with threading and tying a knot. Once you've done it successfully once, cut it like I did and do it again. Do it a couple times. If you are not having success with the way I showed you, look at how to use that little needle threader thing that's in our kits. I've never used one. I just wasn't ever taught to. But it looks pretty simple on the video, so that would be another option for you. And if you can't get the knot tying method, there's other ways you could try it. But to be honest, that one I think is the easiest one that I've ever tried. So that's all I wanted you to do today. Practice those things, do the daily math problem. And then I was thinking, since we're on the, life skills train here, I would like you, if your parents are okay with it, to vacuum your house. Whether it's one room or several rooms, that is something that parents do frequently to keep the dust out of your house. And so it's easier to breathe and it's healthier and clean. And kids don't always do it very much. So, boy, do I love the lines that they leave on the carpet after you've vacuumed. It looks so nice. So after you've learned how to thread and knot a needle, go vacuum. See you tomorrow.